More around the subject of mentors, which I know we've already just kind of touched on a little bit. I think for TEHMINA, like, how important do you find mentors in general? And this could be specifically women or more in general. And I also think just while touching on that, like, what's the value of having mentors, but also what advice would you give to others on how to find good mentors?
These jobs are hard and, you can't really get there by yourself, I don't think. I think you're always going to get where, like, the success that you gather and get along the way, it's always going to be with the help of other people. I mean, I guess you can do it by yourself, but I wouldn't have been able to. And I've been lucky, like I've had a couple of really great mentors. When I went to NYU, I had a couple of great teachers. And one of them, a couple of years down the line after I graduated with my master's, he knew that I wanted to be a VFX supervisor. And so he just brought me on set. He just hired me at this company and freelance, of course. And then just kind of brought me on set as the assistant. And, that kind of brought me into the world of production, make believe. It was really cool. I also learned that I needed to get a really, really good quality coat because it froze my ass off.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was a big eye-opening and awesome learning experience. I got to shoot green screen plates and, direct background actors and do all of this stuff. And I was just the assistant. But yeah, so that was one of my mentors, and he kind of walked me through who's who on set and just kind of threw me in, and it was fun, but I wasn't the VFX supervisor, so there was no pressure really. And then later when I worked at Zoic, I had another amazing mentor, John Kilshaw, who has just worked on, just big stuff. I think he worked at, I think he was a VFX supervisor at Double Negative for a long time. And so I was lucky enough to really learn off of him. I like that, Maggie, you were talking about soft skills, because that's something that really in the last 7 years, 5 to 7 years for me, has been something that I've been slowly grasping at and figuring out how to break bad news in a good way and, how to negotiate maybe. And having a mentor like John, he was great because he was super experienced and just really, really good at just getting everybody on the same page. And that was a huge thing for me, because it wasn't at that point, it became not just about the technical and the creative, but it became about really just working with people and figuring out, reading the room and figuring out how to make things work the way you need them to.
That's so valuable. That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, mentorship wise, I've gotten lucky, and I think if it weren't for those two, I think I would have still been able to eventually get where I got, but I mean, it would have been really hard,
More
Yeah.
also just what advice you would give on how to find mentors?
I can only say how I found mine, and mine were through school. The first couple were through school. I just got close with my teachers, and, I just made sure that I was always talking with them. And I did go to, I did go to some alumni networking events where I met a director who worked at SciOp, who actually gave me my first internship. And so he was kind of a mentor, I guess. He was, just network. Do that, and that'll help if you're in school. And then as far as my second mentor goes, that was from work. That was purely I went to Zoic. Zoic knew that I wanted to do more on-set work, more production work. I was very vocal about what I wanted to do. And at the time I had a little bit of leverage because the other company that I was going back and forth between Zoic and the other company, they were putting me on set. And so when I went to Zoic, they made sure that okay, we're gonna help you do this. And so I think maybe just be vocal about what you want. I think that would probably be the most concise advice I could give.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on the head with all of those, and that's one thing I was going to add, which you just mentioned is like ask, because I think a lot of times people get frustrated that they got passed up for an opportunity or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
when did you ever communicate that to anyone that you wanted it? Yeah,
It's like it's not going to always be given to you just because you think you're amazing or whatever.
exactly. But it's also that people, especially managers, are going to be thinking of everything, not one single person. So at
Yeah.
least communicating what you're interested in, then they're able to think, oh yeah, like let me connect the dots, like you want this, like how about you go jump on this opportunity over here. So
Yeah.
the more vocal you are, as you put it, the more that people are able to help you get what you want.
Exactly.
That's great. And Maggie, I know that you talked about this briefly just before. What advice would you give for people looking to find mentors, and I guess just in general, like how important is it for you to have mentors in your life and your career?
Yeah, so, I work at a really big tech company right now. So we do have those resources between like employee resource groups and DEI initiatives. So, I can find mentors through networking through those like mailing lists and groups. And that has also helped me mentor other people. And I think having that diverse experience and skill set and just like hearing other people's stories is really important. So even if I'm the mentor, I learn something about someone else and can help more people that way. So networking is super important, and definitely being vocal and active in initiatives that you feel are important, whether they're technology, like networking at conferences like SIGGRAPH or something, to going out to social events for your alumni groups, local groups that have similar interests, and just kind of finding people that are like in your tribe. Like, can you bounce ideas off of someone else in a safe manner? It's psychologically safe, where it's like, yeah, I've got this issue, I've got this problem, like help me come up with solutions. And I think asking for that help and being vocal about like, this is what I want, but these are the blockers that I see that are in my way. Is that the right perspective? Can you help me find solutions? And, having someone else say like, well, try this or try that, or talk to this person is super, super valuable knowledge to have in your tool belt as you're navigating through your career.
It's great. And I was talking to someone just the other week about reverse mentors, in the sense that, it's also a really positive experience when you are mentoring other people. Like, you get a lot of insight into where people do struggle yourselves. So, because again, like more at a supervisor or an executive level, you're typically a bit out of touch with like what people really struggle with, unless they're the ones communicating that. So it kind of becomes a two-way street, where seeking mentors, it's also valuable for them because they get a bit more understanding about some of the things that you might just think are easy to solve these days because you've done it for years and years and years. So yeah, that's great.
Sharing that experience too. Like, I believe my entire management chain currently is male. So, like going down, it's like I'm the first female that they encounter in their management chain for a while. And it's like, I have something to say, or, like if I see something bad, I should bring it up, because no one above me is going to have that unique perspective that I can bring to that management chain. So, having that voice is important, but also having the networking in place so that they trust what you're saying is not like out of left field. It's like, oh, this is truly from their experience, and I should really trust what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank you, Maggie. And Aaron, just to chime in as well, like for you, how important is it to find mentors?
I mean, for me, in my career path, it was extremely important. I started off in the industry as a pipeline TD, so just strictly writing code for artists and writing tools and whatnot, which is great. But I really wanted to get into effects ultimately, and I had the computer science degree, but didn't really learn CG until I was actually on the job. And when I was at Rhythm and Hues, where I was working, that's when I learned about the entire CG pipeline and 3D and rendering. So it was really just on the job training. I was lucky enough to have a company that allowed me to make the switch from pipeline to effects and move more into an artist position. And there's no way I would have been able to do that without the help of some mentorship from people in the effects department. Like they really helped teach me, just like the fundamentals of CG and, understanding like, really what makes effects look good. And so, having that foundation, and over time, just every time I'm at a new company, like there's always been, I try to like find someone that I can like ask questions to, right? Someone I feel safe to, so someone I feel safe speaking with candidly about my shots or, when I'm having trouble and whatnot. And I think that's really important because like it is really stressful. It gets really stressful when you're, you're on contract, you're doing contract work, you're there for a couple months, you need to turn the pin around really fast. It's a new company. Having that vulnerability to say like, hey, I need help is really important. And, finding someone that you can, that can sort of help you with your, with what you're doing is ultimately going to like help you succeed. And as far as like finding mentors, I think networking is extremely important. I think having soft skills in this industry, like I know we've touched on this quite a bit, but it's surprisingly a small industry. And because it's freelance, you're moving around quite a bit and word travels. So, if you're a good artist, a good team player, like people will remember that. And, when someone says, hey, like I just got this resume, have you worked with so-and-so? I noticed that they were at the same company of you. It's like, yes, that person's great. Like, just got the job done. It was, like took notes well and was just really pleasant to work with. Yeah, I mean, I think just having that attitude, just being open and whatnot is like, it's conducive to people wanting to mentor you, I think. And I also want to add, there are some nonprofits out there where, they are pairing up industry professionals with people who want to be mentored. I know the Visual Effects Society has a mentorship program that got started, I want to say like last year, a couple of years ago. I also have a friend that runs a nonprofit called Rise Up Animation, and they provide mentors for, like their focus is on like people of color and, people who come from, maybe like areas that are like a little, they don't have the resources to, like put kids through art school or whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that got started a couple years ago as well. And yeah, there's a lot of people who are, big industry names who are mentors through that nonprofit. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, I'll definitely link to all those in the show notes. We had the president of Women in Animation on recently as well. And yeah, just in general, whether it's disability, people of color, like again, equality, spans many different genres. So I think it's really important to be able to get people to have a voice as well as just in general push for equal opportunity. So definitely, Connie, I'd love to hear your thoughts too on your thoughts around the value of finding mentors, and also like what advice would you give for people on how to attract mentors?
I think it's really important to have mentors. And there are all the organizations that were mentioned before as far as networking and things like that. But I think in order to attract mentors, I think there are a couple of things that people could do to prepare themselves. I think one of the things is that to have a clear ask, like to know what you're looking for and how they can help you. Because I think people really do want to help, they want to give back. I haven't really talked to anyone who's like, no, I want to give back. Most people are like, I do want to help, but I don't know how. And if you tell them, you have a clear understanding of what you're looking for and what you want to do, and you can explain that clearly, and then just let them know, like, this is the information, this is what I'm looking for, whether it's just like a 10-minute information, or if it's something specific. Because if it's something specific, people can tell you right away if they can do it or not. And if you don't know what you need and you're looking to them to give you guidance or to tell you which direction to go, they're not going to be able to do that, right? And if you're asking them, hey, I want to do this, but I don't know how to get there, tell me everything you know, it's like, well, but if you just say like, hey, I'm looking to do this. This is a specific thing, and here's a specific ask. Can you help me with that? Most people, if they can do it, they will do it. They'll help you. And so, I mean, on my film, that was a thing that I had specific things, and it was like, can you help me with this? And people were like, oh yeah, I can do that one thing for you. That's not a problem. But I think for mentors, if you can help them help you, then that always goes a long way. And if you can be very clear on what you need or what you're looking for, that helps a lot.
That's awesome. That's
and
really cool.
And then also, I think if you can give back, right? Because people are more willing to help you again if you're, adding to, you bring value as well. So, whether it's, hey, I saw this thing, I thought you might be interested in it, and you send it to them or whatever it is, but you're adding some value to them, or there's an exchange of information. That's always a useful thing.
Yeah, it's good to be enthusiastic about, hey, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? I think that showing that you applied that information is important, because then people are more willing to be like, okay, cool. You're not just take, you're actually putting it to use. And on top of that, wherever you can give value back as well, it's extremely important.